President Donald Trump is standing firm on his threat to shut down the southern border.
Also tonight, the Department of Homeland Security said it may reassign up to 2,000 Border Patrol officers to stop the flow of immigrant families from Central America. KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan has the latest on this growing crisis. Dave?
And it is growing. In fact, it seems almost by the hour this border controversy is growing more and more intense. In fact, the border shutdown could come sooner than anyone expected, like this week, according to President Trump, who said on Friday that could happen. And so far, there's no backing down. Quite the contrary. But closing off the border could have repercussions far beyond stopping asylum seekers and others from getting into the U.S. illegally. Tonight, President Trump is doubling down on his threats to close the U.S. border with Mexico, shut it down as soon as this week, tweeting, "We have a major national emergency at our border. Get it done now." And now, administration officials are warning that the president's ultimatum last week about closing the border off entirely if Mexico doesn't start blocking refugees and asylum seekers from Central America is very serious.
We'll keep it closed for a long time. I'm not playing games.
It certainly isn't a bluff. You can take the president seriously, and here's why. You're giving those metrics. What he's looking at is that 4,000 migrants apprehended in one day recently. We're on track this month for close to 100,000. We have never seen a surge like this.
That would be the highest single month total in more than a decade. Immigration officials say they've reached a breaking point trying to handle the swarm of asylum seekers.
The challenge that this demographic presents for us, what makes it so unique, is the fact that nearly 70% of them are all family units and unaccompanied children.
Last week, things got so bad that some migrants were housed in a caged section below a bridge in El Paso, since detention centers were overflowing. President Trump slashed $700 million in U.S. aid to Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, while blaming them for not doing enough to stop the flow of migrants through their borders, a move critics say could make the border situation even worse.
This is a crisis that we have not yet seen the magnitude of it if this happens. If the border is shut down, if funding is cut from the Triangle countries, if the resources don't get to the border as quickly as possible, it will go on steroids.
It's the president's threat to shut down the border, perhaps as soon as this week, that has some border communities and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce worried about the possible repercussions from that.
It would cause financial hardship, and you'd put a lot of people out of work. And that's Americans, not Mexicans.
Jerry Pacheco is the president of the Border Industrial Association.
It would be devastating. And not just here. The supply chains all the way back to the Midwest, our auto industry, our ag industry would be affected immediately.
Here in California, some agriculture experts are warning the border shutdown could result in a shortage of avocado and escalating prices for other products produced in Mexico and shipped to the U.S. Reuters reports Monday that half the imported vegetables and 40% of imported fruit in the U.S. are grown in Mexico and shipped across the border.
You know, we started out as just a California avocado packer.
Steve Bernard, seen here in a 2014 interview, is the president and CEO of Mission Produce, based in San Luis Obispo County. He told Reuters that Americans will run out of avocados in 3 weeks if the border closure blocks imported products, and his company would be out of business for a while. And the bigger picture could get much worse. A border shutdown could threaten the more than $611 billion in yearly cross-border trade and could impact as many as 5 million U.S. jobs, according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And in a related development tonight, the acting defense secretary told reporters that as of late Monday morning, the Pentagon had not yet been asked to support closing the border. And that would appear to be a necessary step if, in fact, the border was going to be shut down this week. So, Juan, you know what we say. Stay tuned, because there'll be more coming on this.
And we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
All right, Dave, thank you so much.